I have a pencil. Welcome to Conversations with the Candidates. I'm your host, Eve Noss, for this segment. We're talking today to Lorinda Visnick, who's running for Ward 6 School Committee. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let me ask you the first question. Why are you running?
Why am I running? I'm running because I think that it's important that we have people on the school committee who actually have children in the schools, who have children in all the levels of the schools. Right now, our current school committee, 4 of the 7 members have no children in school, and the other 3 members only have high school students. Some of them only have 1 high school student. Some only have 1 high school student who's a senior. So very soon that person also will be out of the school system. We'll have 5 of our 7 members with no children in the schools.
So tell us, what grades are your children in, Lorinda?
My children are in 12th, a senior here at Beverly High, 10th, a sophomore here at Beverly High, 7th at Briscoe Middle School, and 3rd grade at the Centerville Elementary School.
That about covers it.
That covers the whole range, exactly.
So tell us, what do you think are the biggest challenges today that the school system is facing?
There's a good handful. So on the surface, I think our schools are really in good shape. I think most people believe our schools are in good shape, but in fact there's a decent number of problems kind of a little bit hidden, somewhat swept under the carpet. We'll have to have a very serious conversation about the new middle school. And although there's been a lot talked about that new middle school, in fact, our city council has not yet voted to appropriate the funds for it. So last week in the paper, the mayor was quoted as saying that we have, in fact, as a city, already appropriated the funds to do the first step, which is the feasibility study. But in fact, that's not true. City council has not even brought that vote forward yet, let alone taken that vote. Our school committee president was quoted in the paper as saying that we are going to use the 5 through 8 model. But again, there's been no public discourse on that. There have been no meetings, there's been no input. Much like the Brimble Ave project, a lot is happening without opening it up to the public. So that's a very bad model, as if we haven't seen that already. We really need to open that up and let the public have their say, let the rest of the school committee have their say. Because in fact, the school committee members, beyond the president, have not seen that statement of interest until it became publicly available. So there's a lot of conversations that need to be had, a lot of meetings that need to be had about that middle school project. Certainly a project of that magnitude, of that cost, really needs to be vetted by the public before we take the next steps on that. There are certainly other problems. There's a report from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education that speaks to a lot of the problems in the school district right now. I actually brought it with me. You can have it. I'll leave it with you if you'd like. But the number one problem that they list is that, quote, the school committee is not operating within the bounds of the Education Reform Act or with education evaluation and may be interfering with the day-to-day operation of our school district. That is a very serious problem. That's not an accusation. It is a statement from this report. They came in and studied our school system last year.
So that leads to my next question, which would be, if you were elected, how would you go about learning about the workings of the school board and the expectations of a school board member, school committee member?
Earlier this year, actually probably in the summer, somewhere in the middle of the summer, I went out to Western Mass and took a class that's required if elected. I took that class just as a form of preparation, to make sure I knew what I was getting myself into by running. So there's an organization called the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. They offer a class called Charting the Course. So in that course, they talk about everything from open meeting laws to doing the evaluations of a superintendent, hiring superintendents, how to run a meeting, all kinds of details, all the types of things that you'd be required to do as a school committee member. So I've already taken that course as a form of preparation. I've been attending most of the school committee meetings, which I actually did well before I pulled my papers to run. So I think I have a fairly good idea, but certainly there are members there who have a lot of experience, and I would reach out to them and get some additional information on top of that course, on top of having attended many of the meetings already.
So in terms of the way the school committee has been functioning, what kinds of things do you think have been going well that you would want to continue and emulate?
Again, on the surface, our schools are in good shape. So I love that, for instance, the school committee brings in children and recognizes them, or brings in teachers who are doing exemplary work. So all of that part of it is fabulous. I love when, for instance, James Coffey was brought in recently and recognized for being an athletic director of the year, for our school winning the Adams Award. All that kind of thing is good. I think it's good. The school committee members, for the most part, really make an effort to attend the PTO meetings, try to get out and see what's happening at the schools, which is really important given that they don't have children in the schools. But I don't think you can get from one PTO meeting a month a real feeling for what are the problems in those schools.
So what would you like to do differently?
First and foremost, I would say that I have children in the school, so I understand firsthand what's happening. So for instance, when we talk about the new middle school, the statement of interest says that school is very overcrowded right now. Briscoe is very overcrowded, the middle school. And it is overcrowded. If you were to go in there to try to help run the magazine drive, for instance, you would see the overcrowding. Well, we should not be waiting until the new building is built to fix that problem. That means for 4 or 5 more years, we're going to have children smushed into a building, and they've been kind of smushed in there for a while already.
Since the two schools were joined.
Right, it's been overcrowded for a while. So why aren't we addressing that now? Why are we going to make, 3, 4, 5 more years worth of children suffer through that overcrowding? Why don't we, for instance, put in some temporary classrooms, sometimes called a pod classroom? They did it up in Manchester, Essex, for instance, when they were building their addition, when they were building their new building. There are solutions to problems. We don't have to wait for a new building to address the problems that exist, for instance, right now at Briscoe.
So you're talking about too many students per classroom.
Or again, if you were to read the statement of interest, which is now publicly available, they talk about any given subgroup of children needing to be pulled out of the classroom to get individual attention, and that some of those small group learning meetings are being taken place in what used to be, for instance, a closet.
Right.
That it's not conducive to learning. So if it's not conducive to learning, we really should be addressing it, and we should be addressing it now, not waiting for the new building to be built. So in our elementary schools, we have probably approximately 6 or 8 years ago, our school committee voted to take the maximum class size from 25 up to 30. Studies have been quoted that say unless you can get your classroom size all the way down to 15, then classroom size doesn't matter. But I totally disagree with that. And I ask you, go ahead and ask any elementary school teacher if they'd rather have 22 children in their classroom versus 30, they would tell you 22 or even 25. So that's an issue, again, that exists today. It's not necessarily overcrowding, but it's very large class sizes in any given school, in any given class. There are a lot of children, upwards of 29 or 30 children in that classroom. It is very difficult to physically move around in those classrooms with all those children's belongings in the cubbies, with 30 desks in that classroom. It's even more difficult to try to get the classroom to calm down and then do the learning that we need to deliver, right? The teaching that needs to be delivered for those children to do the learning that they need to do. So again, we could address that now. Instead of having 2 classrooms of 30, you can have 3 classrooms of 20. Would it cost more money? Absolutely. Are there ways to get money into the schools? Absolutely. So we could do things now, and we should be doing things now. We shouldn't be making that group of students wait for something that's going to maybe come down the road. And there's no guarantee. Just because the state said, yes, we're going to be on the list, there's 150 other schools that are also trying to get on the list. Then the list needs to be prioritized. And where will we fall in the prioritization? Right. And even if we're number 2 on the priority list, if the state doesn't have enough money in their coffers, right, if the economy is not good, they might not fund 2 projects a year. So there is no guarantee, there is no time frame yet when we might get that new middle school.
So do you have ideas of where the money might come from to make these kinds of changes, to not just for the building, but also to pay extra teachers, to lower the class sizes?
So what I'm saying on the campaign trail and what I'll say to answer your question is absolutely. There's grant money out there. I've just co-authored a $100,000 grant that will be spent from K through 12 over the next 3 years to implement some really fantastic programming that's been brought about by volunteers. There's grant money out there. There are ways to bring alternative programming in and collaborative programming. So an example of alternative programming is the textile recycling program. So at every school now there's a textile recycling collection box. Actually at Briscoe there's 2. They have a great location. And our school system has already raised over $2,000. Now it might not seem like a lot, but every little bit helps.
Right.
So since those boxes went in, we've raised over $2,000 from those textiles. And at the same time, we've saved the city $1,500 in tipping fees. So every ton of garbage that's kept out of the garbage stream saves the city $74 in tipping fees.
And
so
you're
now you
making
have a
money from-
win-win. You're
Right.
not only bringing money into the schools, but you're saving the city money. And at the end of the day, it's really just one pot of money, right? So if we can save money in that pot, then there's more money to do anything, whether it's plowing, whether it's paving, hiring a new police officer, hiring back a teacher, any of those kinds of things. An example of collaborative programming is a program that we're working on right now in conjunction with a citizen in Beverly who has children in the school system, and she works for the Cisco networking company. So she gets an incredible discount on their equipment. Beverly Education Foundation, in cooperation with the YMCA and the Affordable Housing Coalition, which is now called the CDC.
Yeah.
Does not stand for the Centers for Disease Control.
No,
The
that's confusing.
Affordable Housing of the North Shore. We're working to take the internet signal from Beverly High and deliver that signal at night to the affordable housing units that exist in Gloucester Crossing. That will allow those students in that low-income housing to be able to use their laptops at night at home
Right.
instead of needing to hang out at Panera to get an internet signal.
Or the library.
Or the library,
Right.
or any other
Yeah.
place in town that happens to have internet. So that's a need in our city, and it's a need that's going to be fulfilled through this collaboration at no cost to either our school system or to our city. And there are more examples like that out there. There are collaborations, quote unquote, waiting to be had. A lot of people have a lot of skills and they'd like to contribute. They just don't know how or where, right? So it's a matter of matching up the need with what we have in our community. We have a great community.
So how would you balance your role as a taxpayer, a parent, and a school committee person? Have you thought about? I'm sure you've thought about that a lot.
I have thought about that. We've had a lot of family conversations about that. So there's a lot of balancing, or you might say juggling, that goes on in our household already. So in addition to being a mother of 4, and I do have a job, I work during the day as a computer scientist. In addition to that, I also run the Beverly Middle School girls basketball program. I just finished being PTO president at Centerville. I'm still PTO president at Briscoe. I'm a member of the Beverly Education Foundation. We do a lot of work raising the money that goes to the laptops at the high school. We wrote I co-authored the grant that's going to be spent over the next 3 years for K through 12. So there's already a lot of juggling, and so I've kind of lined up some of those things to go to other people should I be lucky enough to win the seat.
Okay.
So it'll be a trade-off. We'll trade some of those activities for a different activity.
Let me ask you this. Do you think your personal interests might conflict with your role as a school committee member?
What personal interests do you think?
Maybe the activities that you've participated in as a coach, or the Ed Council, or an advocate.
So when I went to that course this summer,
Yes.
I specifically asked about the Ed Foundation. And I said, well, I have to step down from the Ed Foundation if I'm a school committee member. So there is a very thin line. They highly recommend that you not be an officer in a PTO, for instance.
Right.
Because, in fact, there may be a conflict of interest. So the example that they gave was if your booster organization came to the school committee and said, we have this much money and you can only spend it to hire a new hockey coach, but you knew as a school committee member that your needs in the district were certainly somewhere other than having a new hockey coach,
Right.
you would have to recuse yourself from that vote. So I don't think that I would have to step down from the Beverly Education Foundation. That said, I've kind of put those wheels in motion in case it is in fact necessary.
Right.
In the case of BevEd, they're writing grants and they're raising money to help fund things that our school committee has already voted to put into place. So our school committee and actually our city council voted for the laptop program, and yet they don't have the money to run that laptop program. Right? They voted to give the free and reduced lunch children a significant discount on their laptops, but there's actually no line item to pay that discount. So that's what BevEd is doing right now with the money that they raise. They're paying that bill. They're helping the school system balance their budget. So I don't see that that would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
With some of the $100,000 grant, we'll actually be paying the bill to send the free and reduced lunch children in 6th grade to Nature's Classroom. So again, that's a vote that happens every year. Our school committee votes every year to let those children go on that trip, knowing that we give the free and reduced lunch children a significant discount, and yet we don't have the money in the budget to pay that discount.
Right.
So I don't see that as being a conflict of interest. I'll be honest with you. In my role as the basketball director, it seems unfair to me that children who are already either living in Beverly or attending Beverly schools and are thus Beverly taxpayers have to pay to use the facilities at night. So that's one thing that could potentially be a conflict. I'd like to see that rolled back. You have volunteer organizations who have parents, or maybe not even parents, coaching children, providing a function that used to be provided by our school system, but was cut because we didn't have enough money. So now you have these volunteers who have stepped up to run these programs, to give children something to do, to keep them athletically fit, right? There's all kinds of good things that happen with extracurricular activities, and yet we make those organizations pay even more money to use the facilities. So
that's a fundraiser in and of itself.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the only conflict that I could think of.
Right.
So it's relatively small money. It's a $1,200 fee to use the facilities all winter long for those basketball practices.
Okay. I need to get to this question. It's a question that a lot of people think about, I think, and I've been asked this question and gotten into debates with people out and about. What advice would you give to young families or people who are thinking about buying a home in Beverly about settling in Beverly in terms of the school district and the school department and the quality of education here?
I'd say come on in. You know, my husband and I chose to live here. We built our house. We were living in the Cove before we built our house. We joke, but there's a certain amount of truth to when we say we're never moving. So again, I think there's a lot of good in the school system. We absolutely can be better. We should be striving to be better. There are problems that need to be addressed, but I think they can be addressed. I think they're solvable, and they're fairly easily solvable. So I would absolutely encourage people to move to Beverly and raise their children in Beverly and send their children to public school in Beverly. It has served my 4 children very well. It continues to serve my 4 children very well. And as an example, the 2 children that I have here are on very different tracks, right? So my first child is truly academically gifted, and my next child is athletically gifted, and she's on a very different track academically here, but she's getting what she needs. So I think that's a great, we're like the poster child for you can get what you need in the Beverly Public Schools. Absolutely.
Okay. We're almost out of time, so I have one final question. Would you answer to viewers who ask, why should I vote for you?
Well, I wish you lived in my ward so that you could vote for me.
I don't.
I would say, no, you don't. So I would say...
Helps me be neutral while I'm talking to you.
Okay, fair enough. So I would say you should vote for me because I do have children in the school system, because I understand firsthand what those problems are, and I've been working to alleviate those problems. I have a track record of bringing money into the schools, of solving problems, of taking things on and getting them done as a volunteer, not because it would benefit my child, but because it would benefit all the children in Beverly. I continue to do those things. I continue to write grants and to work to help children K through 12 across the entire district. So although our school committee members are elected by ward, their venue really is to serve all the children of the schools. So I have children, I'm there, I'm in it, and I'm in it for a while. And I've done some good work already, and I'd like to just bring that up to the next level.
Do you want to add anything about Ward 6 in the schools there? Well, it's Centerville, right?
The Centerville Elementary
And any work
School.
that you've done there, or the kinds of things that
We've
you've
had
been
some
involved
great
with?
programs there over the last year. We had we have a fabulous school nurse there who has led a lot of our healthy initiatives. As you probably know, studies show that healthy children are better learners. So we have Walk to School Day tomorrow, which by the time this airs, it won't be tomorrow, it'll be in the past, October 9th. We have over 250 children, including all the children who get bused to Centerville. The buses will stop at Harry Ball. If you've signed your permission slip, you get off the bus, you get to walk to school. We have a whole bunch of adults down there helping that happen. We've had Taste Test Tuesday, where the children learn to experiment and eat more new healthy foods. The salad bars are in the schools thanks to the Be Healthy Beverly initiative. We now have gardens in the back also thanks to Be Healthy Beverly. We had Waste Free Wednesday where we taught the children how to compost and how to recycle. We have a green team. So again, we're trying to teach them at a very young age how to be responsible stewards of the earth and of their bodies.
Those are a lot of innovative programs. I haven't heard of any of them.
Actually, this year we started an Entrepreneurs Club. They're meeting this afternoon. And we started a GOB. So in addition to Family, Math, and Science, which is just a fabulous program that was started many years ago by Joan Sullivan at the Cove School. And now this year, thanks to the Beverly Education Foundation, every school, all 5 elementary schools, will have the money to run a Family, Math, and Science program. And next year and the year after, every school will have enough money to run 2 Family, Math, and Science programs.
And it's GOB, did you say?
The GOB, like a spelling bee.
Oh,
it's all about geography.
Geo, okay.
Geo.
Very good.
Not just Geo-Go.
Very good. We've been talking to Lorinda Visnick, who's running for Ward 6 School Committee. This is Eve Noss. Thank you very much for joining us.